The battlefield has changed. The conflicts of the 21st century are not just fought with tanks, soldiers, and jets. They are increasingly defined by a new and powerful weapon, the unmanned aerial vehicle, or drone. These remotely piloted aircraft have fundamentally altered the calculus of modern warfare, offering nations a potent and often low-cost way to project power. They can be used for surveillance, loitering for hours above a target to gather intelligence without risking a pilot's life. But their role has expanded far beyond just watching. They have become deadly instruments of attack, capable of delivering precise strikes with missiles or functioning as kamikaze weapons, crashing into their targets in a fiery explosion. This revolution is not confined to major military powers. Smaller nations and even non-state actors now have access to this technology, democratizing a lethal capability once held by a select few. This shift has profound implications. Drones lower the threshold for military action. The risk is less, both in terms of human casualties and financial cost, which can make leaders more willing to use force. We see this playing out across the globe, from the Middle East to the Caucasus, and now most visibly on the plains of Ukraine. The sky is no longer a safe haven. It has become a new and constant front line. The persistent buzz of a drone overhead is now a sound of imminent danger for soldiers and civilians alike. The ability to manufacture, deploy, and counter these systems has become a critical measure of a nation's military readiness. A country without a robust drone program is a country at a significant disadvantage in any modern conflict. The war in Ukraine has served as a stark and brutal showcase for this new reality. Both sides have used drones extensively, for everything from spotting artillery targets to attacking critical infrastructure deep behind enemy lines. These small, often difficult-to-detect aircraft have proven their worth time and again. They have destroyed billions of dollars worth of sophisticated military hardware. They have disrupted supply lines and sowed terror in cities far from the front. The conflict has become a live-fire laboratory for drone warfare, with tactics and technologies evolving at a breathtaking pace. What we are witnessing is not just an adaptation to new tools, but a complete rethinking of military strategy in real time, driven by the capabilities of these unmanned systems. It is within this context that the burgeoning military relationship between Russia and Iran has taken on such global significance. When Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, many expected a swift victory. The Kremlin possessed a vast and modernized military, yet the initial stages of the war exposed critical weaknesses in its arsenal, particularly in the realm of unmanned aerial vehicles. While Russia had its own reconnaissance drones, it lacked a sufficient supply of effective long-range attack drones. It struggled to counter Ukraine's successful use of Turkish-made Bayraktar TB2S and other smaller systems. This technological gap proved costly, leaving Russian forces vulnerable and unable to effectively strike targets deep within Ukrainian territory without risking expensive cruise missiles or manned aircraft. The Kremlin needed a solution, and it needed one quickly. The answer came from the Islamic Republic of Iran. Despite being under heavy international sanctions for decades, Iran had quietly developed a formidable and battle-tested drone program. Its flagship product, the Shahed 136, was a perfect fit for Russia's needs. It was relatively cheap to produce, simple in its design, and had a long range. It was not a sophisticated weapon, but it was effective. It functioned as a one-way attack drone, flying a pre-programmed route to its target before detonating on impact. Beginning in the late summer of 2022, Russia began importing these drones in large numbers, rebranding them as Geran 2, and unleashing them against Ukraine. The skies over Kyiv, Odessa, and other cities soon filled with the distinctive buzzing sound of these deadly machines. The impact on the war was immediate and devastating. Russia deployed the Shahed drones in swarms, often at night, to overwhelm Ukraine's air defenses. Their primary targets were not military positions on the front line, but critical infrastructure power plants, electrical substations, and port facilities. The strategy was clear. It was a campaign of attrition aimed at breaking the will of the Ukrainian people and crippling their economy. For months, these Iranian-made drones became a central tool in Russia's war effort. They were a constant terror, forcing civilians into bomb shelters and causing widespread blackouts during the harsh winter months. This reliance on a foreign supplier, however, highlighted a strategic vulnerability for Moscow. While the imported drones were effective, the supply chain was long and potentially unreliable. Shipments from Iran were subject to interdiction and dependent on the political whims of Tehran. For a country like Russia, which prides itself on military self-sufficiency, this dependency was untenable in the long term. The cost of purchasing finished drones, while cheaper than missiles, still added up. Furthermore, sanctions made the financial transactions complex. Russia needed a more permanent, stable, and controllable source for these crucial weapons. The logical next step was not just to buy drones from Iran, but to learn how to build them on Russian soil. This decision would transform a simple arms deal into a deep and troubling technological partnership. The solution to Russia's strategic dilemma is now taking shape in the heart of Russia itself. In the Republic of Tatarstan, within a special economic zone called Alabuga, a massive factory is being built with a single ominous purpose: to mass-produce a Russian version of Iran's Shahed 136 drone. This is not simply a case of Russia buying blueprints, it is a deep and collaborative project. Leaked documents and intelligence reports indicate that Iran has provided Russia with the technical documentation, components, and expertise necessary to establish a complete production line. The goal is ambitious. The facility aims to manufacture at least 6,000 drones by the summer of 2025, a scale that would dramatically increase Russia's capacity for long-range strikes. This new factory represents a significant escalation in the military cooperation between Moscow and Tehran. It is a multi-billion-dollar investment that aims to create a domestic, streamlined, and more advanced drone manufacturing capability for Russia. The plan appears to be phased. Initially, the facility will assemble drones from complete knockdown kits supplied by Iran. In the second phase, the factory will begin producing the airframes itself, while still importing the complex engines and electronics. The final and most critical phase aims for complete self-sufficiency, with the entire drone, including its most sophisticated components, being manufactured inside Russia. This progression is designed to insulate Russia's war machine from outside pressure and supply chain disruptions. The location in Alabuga is no accident. As a special economic zone, it offers tax breaks and streamlined logistics, making it an attractive site for such a high-priority project. The factory is reportedly using student labor from a nearby polytechnic college, with reports indicating they are working long hours for low pay to assemble these weapons of war. The project is moving forward with a sense of urgency, driven by the relentless demands of the conflict in Ukraine. Intelligence from Western nations suggests that the factory is already operational, though it has likely not yet reached its full production capacity. Each day it operates, however, brings Russia closer to its goal of having an almost inexhaustible supply of attack drones. The drones produced at Alabuga are expected to be more than just simple copies. Russian engineers are reportedly working to improve upon the original Iranian design. This includes efforts to enhance its guidance systems, making them more resistant to Ukrainian electronic jamming. They are also likely working to upgrade the warhead and engine, potentially increasing the drone's destructive power and range. The Alabuga factory is therefore not just a production line, it is a research and development hub. It symbolizes the fusion of Iranian battlefield engineering with Russia's industrial might, creating a next-generation weapon that will pose a threat not just to Ukraine but to global security for years to come. This drone partnership is far from a one-sided arrangement. It's a strategic alliance that provides significant and distinct advantages to both Moscow and Tehran, strengthening each nation in the face of immense international pressure. For Russia, the primary benefit is immediate and tangible military capability. By localizing the production of Shahed drones, Russia secures a reliable, high-volume supply of effective standoff weapons. This reduces its dependence on the vulnerable and politically sensitive supply route from Iran. It also allows Russia to conserve its more expensive and sophisticated cruise and ballistic missiles for high-value targets, while using the cheaper, mass-produced drones to overwhelm air defenses and systematically degrade Ukraine's infrastructure and military capacity. Beyond the battlefield, this deal reinforces Russia's goal of military self-sufficiency. Building the Alabuga factory allows Russia to internalize a critical military technology. It gains not just the drones themselves, but the knowledge, the tooling, and the expertise to produce and innovate them. This is a long-term strategic asset. It positions Russia as a major drone manufacturer, capable of sustaining a high-intensity conflict and potentially exporting these systems to its own allies in the future. In a world where drone warfare is increasingly decisive, this self-reliance is a crucial pillar of national security for the Kremlin. It's a direct response to Western sanctions, demonstrating an ability to circumvent restrictions by cultivating partnerships with other sanctioned states. For Iran, the benefits are equally profound. First and foremost, the deal provides a massive financial windfall. The sale of drone designs and components brings in hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in hard currency. This is a vital economic lifeline for a regime crippled by decades of sanctions. The money can be used to fund its own military programs, support its regional proxies, and stabilize its struggling economy. The partnership also provides Iran with invaluable technical feedback. By seeing its drones tested daily against sophisticated Western-supplied air defense systems in Ukraine, Iran gains priceless data on how to improve its technology, making its weapons more lethal and survivable for future conflicts. Perhaps the most significant benefit for Iran, however, is the geopolitical prestige and influence it gains. By becoming the drone arsenal for a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, Iran elevates its status on the world stage. It's no longer just a regional power, but a key technological partner to a global one. This alliance with Russia provides a powerful shield against Western pressure and isolation. It signals the formation of a bloc of nations united in their opposition to the United States and its allies. For Tehran, this partnership is not just about selling weapons. It's about reshaping the global order and securing its own position within it. The establishment of the Alabuga drone factory is not an event that can be viewed in isolation. It sends powerful and dangerous ripples across the entire landscape of international security. The most immediate concern for the United States and its allies is the protraction and intensification of the war in Ukraine. A steady domestic supply of thousands of attack drones gives Russia the means to sustain its aerial bombardment campaign indefinitely. This makes a Ukrainian victory more difficult and costly, and it raises the horrifying prospect of a perpetual war of attrition that will continue to claim countless lives and destabilize Europe for the foreseeable future. Western nations are now in a race against time, forced to continuously supply Ukraine with advanced air defense systems to counter this ever-growing threat. This partnership also sets a deeply troubling precedent for the proliferation of advanced weapons technology. It demonstrates a new model of cooperation among sanctioned states to bypass international restrictions. What begins with drones could easily expand to other areas, such as ballistic missile technology or even nuclear expertise. This alliance normalizes the idea that rogue and revisionist powers can pool their resources to challenge the established global order. Other countries under sanctions may see this as a viable path forward, creating a network of states that operate outside of international norms and non-proliferation regimes. The long-term danger is a world where deadly military technology spreads more freely among nations hostile to the West. The reaction from the international community has been one of uniform condemnation, but concrete action has been difficult. The United States and its European partners have imposed new rounds of sanctions on Iranian and Russian individuals and entities involved in the drone program. They've worked to disrupt the supply chain of Western-made components that are often found in these drones. However, stopping the flow of small electronic parts through a complex global market is an immense challenge. The reality is that once the factory in Russia is fully operational and self-sufficient, the effectiveness of such sanctions will diminish significantly. The world is watching a new arms race unfold, one centered on unmanned systems. Ultimately, the Russia-Iran drone pact is a stark reminder that the world is entering a more fractured and dangerous era. This is not simply about a single weapon system in a single war. It's about the formation of new strategic alignments that are actively working to undermine the security architecture that has been in place for decades. The cooperation between Moscow and Tehran is a clear and present danger that extends far beyond the borders of Ukraine. It signals a future where conflicts may be more frequent, more protracted, and fought with ever more sophisticated and accessible autonomous weapons. This is why people everywhere from Washington to Warsaw to Tokyo should be paying very close attention. The distant buzz of a drone in Ukraine is a sound that carries a warning for us all.